Wednesday night, and that means it's time for the Lamar Thomas Show, featuring the greatest receiver in the history of college football. Just ask them, Lamar Thomas.
I was born in Ocala, Florida. I moved to Gainesville to go to high school. Been recruited probably since the 9th grade, illegally, I might add, by the University of Florida. I still can remember Coach Solinger, Don Solinger, coming out to our practice one day. Here it is, this guy comes out in the University of Miami jacket, and I said, I can't believe that's Miami out here. And, you know, I wanted to go up and say, hey, I'm Lamar Thomas. And actually, I did walk up to him and I said, hey, Coach, I'm Lamar Thomas. And he said, I know. And that was the start of my relationships with the University of Miami.
Patton, another good block, and Toretto lays it out. Touchdown, Miami.
You come down here, you'll be on TV every weekend, dominating. I thought about it. I said, man, where do I sign? My mom, on Saturday mornings, I would wake up and she'd be holding my hand. I thought she was the weirdest lady in the world. But she was holding my hands and she would be rubbing them and saying, one day these hands are gonna make you a lot of money. She was smart.
So now, here he is, the great one, along with co-host Gary Furman of Kingsport.com, Lamar Thomas.
There he is. What's up, Lamarticus?
What's up, G Firm? How you doing, my brother?
It's Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. That means it's time for the Lamar Thomas Show. And man, do we have a lot to talk about and a lot in store for everybody tonight with special guest Russell Maryland coming on and Chris T. Jones coming on. We've got the game last week against Southern Miss to talk about. And then we've got the game this Saturday night, the first big game of the 2022 football season, Miami, Texas A&M, Lamar. You know, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about all the different issues that and subplots that are part of this week and this game. And I've been trying to get my arms around them. I've been watching tape. I've been talking to people. And I still don't feel like I have any idea what is going to happen in that stadium on Saturday night. It could be all over the place. It could be a big Miami victory. It could be a big Texas A&M victory. It could be a game that goes down to the last minute. Just about anything, Lamar.
Well, I just hope we don't have to see them kissing each other. You know, I don't want to see that. You know, that means that they're doing well. It's going to be 100 and something thousand in that stadium. It's going to be rocking and rolling. But you know, if Miami can come out and unlike their last two games, start fast, start early, start doing some great things on offense and on defense early in the game, it could be a long day. And you know, the thing is we talk about we transition back to last week. You know, you can't start off like they started off last week against a good program. I'm not saying that Southern Miss isn't, but they definitely were outclassed. You know, we're a bigger program, and you know, you just can't start off that way. But we were able to overcome. We made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. Mario talked about in his press conference some silly mistakes, as he would say. Now, you know, just things where he said as a coaching staff, they have to do a better job of coaching these, you know, technique wise. You know, there was sometimes the guys ran free on the pass rush, which shouldn't have been. Being able to touch your quarterback, some penalties as far as guys blocking a guy out of bounds, you know, driving a guy. Sometimes, you know, you teach as a coach to finish the drill. Well, you can't. You got to also teach stop the drill too. So there were just some silly mistakes in the beginning that I think towards the second half and after the second half they were able to clean up and truly dominate Southern Miss.
Well, you talk about the kissing, okay, that's going to take place inside Kyle Field on Saturday night. The pre-married Lamar that I knew so well would have dressed up like a cadet, would have planted himself in the cadet student section over there, would have had the hottest date in the stadium, bar none, and would have been kissing his way through the fourth quarter like there's no tomorrow.
Well, I mean, you got to go in this. Obviously they thought that App State was going to be a team they got a lot of kisses against, but I wouldn't bring sand to the beach. I would go single dingle that night and kiss my way to it. But App State came out, and we'll talk about it a little later in the game. Came out and jumped on those boys, and I think they had 38 plays of offense. I mean, that's the old days. That's back when we were playing, where everybody had to run their plays on the field, and the quarterback kind of got to the last second before he snapped the ball. It was truly interesting to watch, and they truly put on a great performance against Texas A&M. And I knew even if Texas A&M didn't win that game, they were going to be very upset about that performance.
All right. Before we get to more football talk, there's a couple business items that I think we should address here at the opening of tonight's show. The first one is that there was a big announcement this week about your coaching future. It is now out in the public spectrum. Tell us what Lamar Thomas is going to be doing after the current football season. Of course, you will be finishing this season, and you'll be with us on Wednesday nights. What are you doing after that, Lamar? Tell us about it.
Well, I am the assistant head coach of the Orlando XFL team, special teams coach, and wide receiver coach. That'd be me.
Wow, that's three titles, man. That's a lot of titles.
Thank you to my my co-worker, friend, golfing buddy, Terrell Buckley, for hiring me, and I'm super excited about being back in the game, getting the opportunity to coach these kids that maybe don't have enough tape to be in the NFL. Maybe they need a little bit more seasoning. So our job is to teach these guys proper technique and how to be a true professional. And hopefully, which I know it will, it's going to go great. It's going to be a lot of fun in Orlando. So come on out to the Big O. Let's go, Orlando. Let's go.
Maybe they need a little better coaching too, which with you and T-Buck, I imagine they will get. And, we'll see how that plays out. We'll see what kind of team you're able to put together up there. How does an XFL team come together, Lamar?
Oh, man, it's been a lot of work. I mean, over the last couple of months, I mean, we've been evaluating talent. We've had workouts in different spots all over the country. And, it's my phone. It's I actually need to get a new phone. It wore it out. Being on the phone all the time with kids, emails, and evaluating talent. Now we're building depth charts for different. There's so many layers to this thing. It's guys that are fresh out of football. There are guys that have been out of football for a while. There are guys that played in USFL. There are guys that are getting cut from the NFL. There are guys. I mean, it's a lot of layers. So we're just trying to build depth charts right now after evaluating talent. And you got to think about it. There's going to be a draft in November. So we have to, let's say if I'm going to keep draft 10 receivers and to keep 8, that means I need to evaluate, there are 8 teams. That means I probably need to evaluate about 160 players, because everybody's, if you see a guy you like, somebody else probably likes him too. So, you're hoping that no one will go down this big old draft pool list and find your diamond in the rough. But it's in case they do, you better have a backup for them. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been very grueling, but I'm glad it's finally out. And, this football season will be great, but my next football season will be even better.
It should be a lot of fun. And we'll talk more about it as it gets closer and let everybody know how they'll be able to watch the games and those sort of things. All right, business item number 2. You're in Caneswear again. I see all the merchandise. I keep hearing is how much product they have been moving out of Caneswear these first couple weeks of the season. But I will point out that Brett, the owner, orders like there's no tomorrow, and you could see his hangers and shelves are all fully stocked. Lamar, it looks like you got a ton of stuff around you.
Well, I got a new polo right here.
I like that.
Oh, it's sweet. I mean, he just showed me, it got 3 orange, green, and black polos that just came in. Obviously, this old Dime Life right here. They got a lot of stuff in here, man. This is it's boxes and boxes full of stuff in here, and this is an awesome place to come in and shop. And actually, we were just talking, and I said, hey, you know what? The next home game, the first 36 people that come in here and spend over 100 are going to get an autographed picture by yours truly. How about that?
Wow. Yeah, that's a cool little promo.
That's great, man. 36 people coming in here. I kind of wanted to say $360, but I thought that was a little crazy. So we just say you spend 100, the first 36 get an autograph 8x10 by me. So it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. So come on in here and spend some money. How about that?
That neon orange shirt looks pretty good on you, Lamar. If I went and bought that thing and put that on in my house, my wife would yell at me, man. She'd be saying, get that thing off, man. That thing is too bright and too neon. Well, on you, it looks great.
I kind of wanted to get this. I saw the color and I thought it was awesome because, I only have a couple more months until, I'll be wearing XFL colors. So, and my head coach already told me, the great Terrell Buckley said that I will be fined for any Miami gear that I wear. So I'm just going to do the old Deion Sanders and say, hey, I'll just pay my fine for the whole year. How about that? Go Canes.
Have they told you what their team colors are going to be yet?
We kind of know it's kind of like a greenish color, greenish, like gray and greenish gray and black and white. But we don't know the mascot, the name. So that's why you say the Orlando XFL team. They're holding that to, I think, next week. They're announced or 2 weeks from now. So it's going to be awesome.
The Rock is one of the owners of that league, right?
Yes. Mr. Johnson. He is the owner. He was my teammate. And God, please, I hope he does not remember the way I was. I was a senior and he was maybe a freshman or sophomore. So I hope he doesn't remember that.
All right. And one other thing real quick that people don't know is that you pull up to the shopping center where Caneswear is every Wednesday night to do this show. And they have a lot of restaurants and food places in that plaza. And when they see Lamar pull into the parking lot, they all come racing out of their stores to offer Lamar free dinner. And, he only gets to pick one each week because, we can't be promoting every restaurant in the plaza every single week. So, Lamar, who is feeding you this week?
Well, I went back, I'm one of those guys, man. Something I like, I go back to the same thing. So I went back to this Playa Bowls here. Let's see. Oh, there it is right there. Playa Bowls. There we go right there. Got the little menu right here. And I got some, what is this? I got some Dolce. That's a banana, chocolate, protein, but peanut butter and coconut milk smoothie right here. And then I got in this bag right here. Let's see what I got in this bag. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is what I had the last time. Look at that.
Oh, that looks healthy.
And that is called, what's that called there? Let's see here. What's that called? Pacific. Yeah, I had to get a little help right there. Pacific. Let me tell you what's in this Pacific. Let me see if I can find it. Green blend topped with granola, strawberry, banana, shaved almonds, chia seeds, and honey. How about that? I'm gonna tear this up. Well, I can't tear it up on air because my daddy said stop eating on the air. So I'm gonna try not to sip this all the way down where I'm slurping, but it is pretty delicious. So come on by, check it out. This is some good stuff. It's healthy. How about that? I eat enough fried chicken every day, so this is my healthy spot. My wife is probably excited. I've never
seen you eating so well, Lamar.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah, I'm impressed. All right, let's get into more hardcore football talk. Let's bring in the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner, who joins us every week on this show. And guys, let's put the Southern Miss experience to bed first, I think, and then we'll focus on Texas A&M. So they're in a dogfight in the first half. They're losing late in the second quarter. They score before the half. It's 10-7 Miami. Okay, that is, Lamar, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that is a real football game. Okay, like I don't care what anybody thought they were going to watch last weekend in Hard Rock Stadium. Miami was engaged in a real football game, and I thought Southern Miss's coaches did a phenomenal job of game planning. I thought that they were giving Tyler Van Dyke looks that he was not prepared for. We later found out about 50% of the defense that they were running, they had never shown before. They put it in the offseason for this game to try to come to South Florida and spring an upset. Tyler was having a hard time on his progressions. He wasn't seeing things the way he was used to seeing them. It was confusing him a little bit. It was slowing him down. Okay, that was allowing a pass rush to be a factor in the first half. They were getting to him. They were pressuring him. And for the first time that I can ever remember, multiple Tyler Van Dyke passes went into the dirt. You know, he is such an accurate passer. So let's talk about that, guys. Lamar, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on what you were seeing in the first half of the Southern Miss game.
Well, it's like you said, you know, when you're a team like Southern Miss and you have that game on the schedule, you circle it. You know that's your game, and they've done it before. They upset us at the University of Kentucky the first game of the year a couple of years ago, and they did some stuff that we weren't prepared for. And if you let a team stick around long enough, they build confidence. And what they were able to do with the coverage wise on the back end, they ran a lot of different coverages, two trap. They ran some just some stuff that they had never run before. Whoever was their defensive coordinator, he did a great job of throwing some things at Tyler. And on offense, on defense wise, they did some things that, you know, they came into the game we were thinking they were going to run the super back thing with Frank Gore's son, and they had a quarterback. I mean, they did some things that you know, they actually had a game plan. They had a game plan, and it takes you a while to get you're just hoping you don't give up the big play at that time on defense. What you rather them do is call a lot of plays. You know, you don't want them to call 3 plays on a touchdown. You want them to try to call 18 plays on a drive, and hopefully they make a mistake. Bend but don't break. And what that does is that puts a lot of pressure on you, not only as you think as a defensive player. No, it's mostly on the offensive play caller because he has to keep coming up with plays. So they did a great job in the first half. I thought Miami did an awesome job in the second half. What was said at halftime, hopefully was to tell them to calm down, relax, get your mind right. We're obviously a better team, but we need to stay within what we were taught, what we've been teaching, and what we've been coached to do, and what you guys have been coached to do. And let's go out and dominate.
Now, you've been in there many times in your career as a player and a coach. They go in at halftime, and they had a choice offensively. They could try to make all kinds of passing game adjustments and try to figure out, you know, what Southern Miss was doing on all these plays to screw with Tyler. Or they could do what they did, which is our adjustment is going to be, we are going to go out and pound the living daylights out of these guys. Okay, we are going to simplify this game. We're going to use our running game, and we're not going to worry about all this stuff that's going on in coverages. And then we are going to get our victory, and we are going to move on to the Texas A&M game. A lot of fans were not thrilled with that. You know, they want their style points. Okay, they want to see the high flying passing game. And Lamar, there's so many elements to just that issue. Do they have the explosive receivers that they've had in the past? You know, you can go on and on and on. But I liked the adjustment. I had no problem with it. And I thought it accomplished what Josh Gaddis and Mario Cristobal wanted it to. They won the game by 23. No, they did not cover the spread. So that did not help the Miami fans that bet on the Canes. But they did get the victory. And, you know, I actually talked to Xavier Restrepo about this week. People think these games are gimmies in college football. Like, look at the teams that lost this week. Texas A&M to App State. Nebraska lost to Georgia Southern. They fired their coach. You know, Notre Dame losing to Marshall. You're seeing all these teams can't get out the way Miami did, Lamar.
Well, here's one point that a lot of people aren't thinking about. If you listen to any of these telecasts that are on TV, the one thing that is a constant. Here's a guy that transferred in from Vanderbilt. Here's a guy that transferred in from, here's a guy that, now, these guys have 3 years development. They're better. So now you got all these guys that are transferring down or up or transferring wherever they can play. And they're filling shoes and they're developed now. They're not little kids anymore. They're not 18, 17 out there playing against grown men. They're developed themselves and they're helping these programs. And now, it's almost like even kill. It's even now. Obviously Miami had more athletes and were a better team, and it ended up catching up with them. But I guarantee if we would have let them stay close, it would have been like the Texas A&M game. If you let them hang in there and let them build some confidence, they start believing they're Goliath. They're not David anymore. They're Goliath. So, it is what it is.
And you get into a close game in the fourth quarter, anything can happen. Bruce, your thoughts on the Southern Miss game?
Well, I agree with you. And I think maybe even a blessing in disguise, because they have to be very physical come Saturday night. Mm-hmm. So you know what? Mario, I don't know if he probably wasn't thinking like I'm explaining it, but that was really good because they have to play physical right from the first whistle. They cannot stand around for half a game to see whether or not they have to make adjustments. So to me, even though I didn't like the way they did it and the style of it, it's a damn good thing they did. I think the offensive linemen realized we better start knocking people on their ass. And as you talked about, we didn't get anybody deep. We got Keyshawn deep because we were running the ball so well. And on that flea flicker, they all bit, the safeties bit, and made it a lot easier. So it all turned out to be pretty good. They did score, 27 points with about a minute to go in the first half to the end. They had 27 points. That's not so terrible. They just had a bad quarter and a half.
And I tell you this, they also, some of their guys made plays, the receivers, those 2 catches, outstanding catches. I mean, I feel bad for our guy number 8. He just had some bad luck. That guy made a great catch. And the one catch where the guy went up over two of our defenders, that's just a guy making plays, man.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just can't, it happens. But I think for those guys to continue to work on their technique this week, work on trying to, obviously you got to have that crowd noise out there. You got to have loud music, loud something, because guys, what you're really focusing on with that is guys being able to concentrate. That's what it's all about. Concentrate on your signals, concentrate on your plays, because music and all this other stuff that happens in the stadium, those are distractions. So it's almost like somebody waving a hand in front of your face every play. So you got to be able to, and that's what that loud noise is for. And if you're around Coral Gables during the week, you'll probably hear it. And it should be loud because it's going to be extremely loud in that stadium.
So last night we had Romberg on the show, and I asked him this question. They play a 4-2-5. So as an offensive guy, now an assistant coach or whatever, and a receiver, how do you attack that? Because they've got.
Wait, time out. Are you talking about Texas A&M now, right?
Yeah.
All right, hold that thought for 1 second, because we are gonna
they play Mallory in there. You gotta have that in the middle. The middle's going to be open.
Yeah, hold that thought for a second. We are going to shift gears. All right, so we got Russell Maryland coming on in about 5 minutes or so. We are going to switch gears to Texas A&M, but first, let's hear from Caneswear so you guys can see a little bit more about the host location of the Lamar Thomas Show.
Welcome to Caneswear. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has all latest merchandise for the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Inter Miami Soccer, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of I-595, or online at Caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
All right, and the Lamar Thomas Show is also sponsored by the law office of Christine Rosendahl. Lamar, tell everybody what type of law she practices and why they should call her if they are in a certain situation.
Well, I'll take it out again because I keep her card right here in my wallet. She practices criminal law. Okay, I keep it. And hey, look, and I said this all the time. You just never know, especially down here in South Florida where you need an attorney. She's fair and she goes for justice. Christine, she's a great lawyer, and you know what? We need to let me look at this. It's Christine Rosendahl Esquire, and her email address is Christine Rosendahl Esquire at hotmail.com. Okay, you gotta remember that, because I'm telling you, you just never know how things happen down here. And the phone number is 561-512-6199. We need to start putting that on the bottom so people
we'll
have
put
that
that on the
number.
bottom.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
if
she
you
is
text it
fair.
to me, I'll text it to me, Lamar, and I'll add it here in a moment. All right, let's shift gears to Texas A&M. So they lost to App State, and obviously that's a devastating moment for a team that was in the top 10, that was hoping to be one of the best teams in the country, compete for the SEC title, which they still could try to do that, obviously. But had to be a shock, Lamar, for their program to lose that game at home. How does that affect their psyche as they prepare for Miami?
Well, as coaches, when something like that happens, you don't have time to be down, because you have to make sure those kids, the main thing is those kids staying positive. You're losing a game like that, it's an upset, when you obviously had a chance to win it, but that other team was just better that night. You just have to make sure that in practice you keeping it upbeat, the tempo is everything is going right, and you got to work on those mistakes, because just think of this: everybody's going to watch that game to find your weaknesses. So what you're doing as a coach, those weaknesses will probably be your strengths from now on, because you're going to work on them, because you're going to know everybody's going to try exactly what App State did. Now, it's going to be hard for people to want to hold the ball for the whole game. 3 yards in a cloud of dust, I guess. I don't know. I mean, every play was like 3 yards.
But they
first down.
They kept moving the chains.
3 yards, maybe 8 yards, 1 yard. I mean, it was crazy to watch the game. Their coordinators did an outstanding job they had a game plan, and you could see those big boys from Texas A&M. They were tired. They were going right to left. They were running sweeps. They were doing reverses, and sometimes you knew the guy called the play just to call it. They knew they weren't going to get no yards on it. You could tell from the beginning, this play is going to get blown up. But all those guys were running to the ball, and now you're running it right back down their throat. They don't even get a chance to get in their stance. It was just a lot. It was fun to watch. But on the other side of it, you're Texas A&M fans, and you saw those people in the stands. They were like, their mouths were like, what is going on here? What is going on? So I hope that Coach Gaddis is able to grab some good stuff from that film, this film that they were able to watch, because App State did some good stuff to them. They had them. I think they didn't really confuse them. They just kind of ran it down their throat. I mean, that big running back, he was getting 4, 5, 6 yards a carry, and then they come in with a scat back. He's doing different things, and they were able to complete high percentage passes. They threw a lot of slants, and the receivers made plays. Everybody made plays for them. It was their night.
So Miami beats Southern Miss, pounding the football. Maybe not exactly like App State did to Texas A&M,
right.
But similar. Does that, Lamar, cross over to the next game? Does that necessarily mean that Miami is going to be able to run the ball against Texas A&M because it did it against Southern Miss and App State did it against Texas A&M?
Not necessarily, but I tell you this: I'm hoping that Coach Gaddis has some plays that he's been saving. You look at the way the schedule was set up, and I said this from the get-go. The play of Bethune-Cookman and then play Southern Miss, you're like building to Texas A&M. So hopefully we have some new wrinkles. And just like Mario said about the Southern Miss coaches, they saved some things. They did some things against them that they weren't prepared for. And now, if we do these type of things, and now we stay in the game, it gives our kids some confidence, and it kind of quiets down that stadium, and it gives us a better chance to be able to do some good things.
Well, after watching that game on tape, Josh Gaddis was putting new schemes in this week, Lamar. You know, they've added to their playbook from things that they saw App State do successfully against the Aggies. So that'll be interesting. All right, guys, we're going to talk so much more about this game as we go forward here tonight. But we got a special guy who's in the lobby waiting to join us. So we're gonna bring him on board, and that is the great Mr. Russell Maryland. How are you, sir? Welcome back to the Lamar Thomas Show. What do you got? Like a speakeasy back there? You know, the big thing now is like they got these hidden lounges everywhere.
Unmute yourself, Russell. Unmute yourself. Yeah, you're on mute. Yeah, I see it's on mute.
There
you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
But yeah, they got these hidden lounges all over the country now. That behind these secret doors, and I see you. You know, you got that little secret door behind you. So
yeah. No. You know, I can't reveal my whereabouts sometimes. So I have to steal away into the speakeasy lounge here.
Hey, let me just tell you something about this guy, and it goes back to a story that I told Russell. My dad said, "Man, that Russell Maryland, he's a beast, man." And I was like, "No, Dad, he's the nicest guy you ever want to meet. It's just when he's on the football field, he's just a different guy. He ain't saying nothing, but he's making all kind of plays." He was like, "For real?" I said, "I'm telling you, guy doesn't say anything. He helps you up. He asks you about, are you going to class? You want me to walk you over there? You need to go to study hall." Just the nicest guy you ever wanted to meet. I was a freshman. I spent a lot of time around the guy on scout team because I kept hearing the worst thing I ever wanted to hear. Run it again. So that was, you know, it was great to be around. I mean, I earned a lot of respect. I mean, this guy, man, he's such a great person, man. And for you to be a great Cowboy too, man, it's just, you had a great career, Mr. Maryland.
Oh, please, come on now, man. I tell you what, you say, you know, hey, as far as earning respect, you earn my respect. You know, doing the things that you did on scout team for us when you were a freshman. Not only playing receiver, but playing sometimes quarterback. When we had a running quarterback, we need to put Lamar back there to simulate a good running quarterback. And he could do the job because he was tall, skinny, and fast.
I don't know about that fast. I think I was running for my life half the time.
Well, I tell you what, hey guys, it's a pleasure to be on with you guys this evening. You know, Lamar called me up. You know, hey, I come running. I make time for an old friend. And I tell you what, Lamar, congratulations on I think you're assistant head coach with the new Orlando team in the XFL.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, man. You're moving on up, man. You're big time now. So,
and I will get to see you out in Arlington.
Yes.
I will be out there. You're gonna come by
Yep.
and talk to my team, you know, and maybe even, you know, show them a little bit of drills or something, how you used to do it, or we'll just send them to YouTube. But I think the most important thing that I want those kids to grab from talking to you and listening to you is how to do it, because you did it the right way, Mr. Maryland. You were just a great person, hell of a ball player, but most importantly, great person, and you don't really see that a lot.
Oh,
I'll second that, man. I'll second that, big guy. I'll second that. How you doing, buddy?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. You know, I'm just 2 seconds. So, you know, my son passed away 10 years ago, and I went to my ex-wife's house last week for something because my grandbaby was there. I go in his room, which hasn't really been touched, and there's an orange football that when you came to my house for that barbecue we had, number 67, Russell Maryland, right there. And I just thought of you. It was like, well, that was so nice, you know. I appreciate that. But yeah, we've talked a lot about the old days, back in the day, that type of stuff. And we've had Darren Crine on recently. And we talked to him about the play of the defensive tackle, how important it is for you guys so the ends are successful, so the backers are successful. And Miami has not really had that in quite a long time.
Yes.
So how do you see what's going on now? You look at these guys. To me, they look like 4 defensive ends playing a defensive line, because there's not you, there's not a Wilfork, there's not a Warren, there's not a Jerome, there's no Cortez, rest in peace. Talk about that for a second, how important it is, especially in this game now coming up.
Well, I have to say, I'm be honest, I haven't watched a whole lot of Miami games because my conscience has been elsewhere these days with my son playing. But to answer your question, you're right. You don't see a whole bunch of guys like, the old short fat guys like me or Cortez, but the thing about it is, you don't have to be, one of our body types. I mean, case in point, Greg Mark lined up against us during that national championship, lined up next to me during that national championship year in '89. That sucker played technique, head placement, hand placement, moving your feet and playing the run really well. And that, I think, is really lacking. When I look at the NFL games, I'm here in the Dallas area, Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm looking at the Cowboys, of course, every week. And that's the first thing I'm looking at, because the most important people to me out there, defense wins games. So if defense wins games, the first point of attack, the person over that ball, I think is the most important. And if you're porous in the middle, if you have guys, a team just running the ball on you, and you're not keeping those big offensive linemen off of your linebackers, then you're not doing a good job. You're not doing your job if you're getting twisted and turned around in there and the ball is just going past your face. That's something that, I tell you, Butch Davis, he was my first D-line coach when I got to Miami in 1986. Coach Davis taught us the best technique that I used from 1986 all the way to 2001 when I retired. And it got me through a lot of games, just knowing how to use your leverage, how to stay low, how to use your hands and not get your feet all twisted up on running plays. So technique. I can't stress that enough. And these young guys need to do a little bit more, do a little bit extra as far as technique goes.
Hey, Russell, I always wanted to ask you this. Chicago, why Miami? Why? I mean, I asked Andre Brown. We had Andre Brown on last year. Why? Why Miami, man?
Well, I tell you what, because I didn't have too much of a choice.
Wow.
So, I think Bruce may know my story. I don't know, Gary, if you do, but
I do.
Man, when I was coming out in 1986, let's go back to 1982. Is when I first put the pads on. I was just turned 13 years old. And my father was like, hey, man, you guys, I had me and 2 other brothers, and we were on the lazy side. If we didn't have to get up on Saturday mornings, we watched cartoons all day. And then when the cartoons went off, we watched Soul Train in the afternoon. So my father is like, man, you guys are a little bit too lazy. And I know y'all ain't going to be making me no money dancing. So you need to get up, get out, and go do something. Get out of this house. And my father would push us. And he was like, you know what, when school starts back up, you're going out for the football team. So he made me play football. And I hated it. I was a terrible freshman football player in 1982. Got a little bit better in 1983. Much more better in 1984 and 1985 than 86. I was a pretty decent football player. So, but I didn't have many teams that was knocking down my door. I played at one of 50 public high schools in the city of Chicago, thousands of kids that played. That's not including private schools. And I was just one of a bunch. And really nobody knew who I was. But by the grace of God, my father, he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. He sent a tape, VHS videotape, at the University of Miami. And who got it? Coach Johnson saw it. Coach Johnson called Coach Axe, like, Coach Axe, you recruiting down in the Chicago area. So, you got me, Alvin Ward, you got me, Rod Holder, you got me, Andre Brown. We need somebody this year. And long story short, I had only one other team that and I could have been a part of this team, and Miami would have been erased from all history. I could have been at Indiana State Sycamore.
Oh my God. That's almost worse than being a Florida Gator.
Oh, God.
I took a trip to Indiana State, a 6-hour van ride down to Terre Haute, Indiana, and I visited. And I came back home afterwards, and coach was Dennis Rates. I remember Dennis Rates, and the guy who was recruiting me was Alvin Reynolds, a longtime coach of the NFL. And I said, Dad, Indiana State wants to give me a scholarship, and my dad was like, "No, I don't want to go to Indiana State." I didn't know why. And so, long story short, I told him no. The signing day came. Coach Reynolds came and said, "Hey, this is your only shot. Is Notre Dame knocking down your door?" "No, coach." Northwestern? "No, coach." University of Illinois? "No." "Well, what's up? What's the deal?" My father said, "I can't go." And so I didn't sign, and he was mad because he was like, "Man, this guy is just, we lost him to air, you know." And so the University of Miami came back about a week later. There was another guy in Chicago named Mel Agee, great football player, who was going to Miami, but at the last minute, he went to the University of Illinois. And Coach Alexander had a spot, said, "Coach Jimmy, hey, this kid is still here. You want him?" Jimmy said, "Okay, hey." And so me and Mike Sullivan, an offensive lineman out of Chicago. Mike Sullivan, yeah. And I came up there. Rest is history, man. Rest is history.
Well, your father was happy with that, I'll bet.
He was. My father really, I owe him a lot. He went to bat for me. He did things that I wouldn't have thought about doing. I'd have been okay going to Morehouse University where my older brother went.
Wow.
You know, so
and look at you, 3-time Super Bowl champion.
I know.
How about that, man? 3 times. You could have been an Indiana State Sycamore.
He would have been the next legend other than Larry Bird.
You'd have made yourself sick. That's what would have happened. You'd have been sick more times than not. How about that?
All
Pro Bowl. You went to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
What was that like, man? I tell you what was winning the 3rd Super Bowl championship like? I mean, like you know, the first one you excited, second one you like okay, and then you got 3.
You know what,
man?
It's a supreme confidence, just like at the U, just like back in the day where
two times. You had two national championships, right?
That's right. So in that 10-year period from 1987 to 1996, I was used to winning. Yeah. I knew what it took to win. I knew the extra that it took. I knew extra staying after practice. I knew doing a little bit more in my book, watching a lot more film. Me and Jim Jeffcoat, he's my mentor at Dallas Cowboys. Right. I just saw him yesterday too. That's my man. He was 8 years older than I was. He came out in 1983, and I'm in 1991. He's like, "Russ, we're gonna get you ready." The dude knew how to work. Right. I knew how to work, so he took me under his wing. We worked, and we had other guys come in, Charles Haley, Tony Casillas, Prime Time. So these guys were superior talents, but we worked our asses off, man. We worked really hard. But I was used to it at the University of Miami because
you were used to it, right?
That's what we knew. What we knew. So when somebody else, a new guy will come in, a younger guy, whether I was with the Cowboys or when I was with the Raiders or Green Bay, I'll say, "This is how you do it. Jeffco did it for me. I'm gonna do it for you." So you can ask your Leroy Glovers, or your Brady Jackson, guys that Rod Coleman, those guys that had great careers that were younger than I was. Your Lamar Thomases.
Yeah, put him on the D line, 160 pounds. Not everybody knows the story about you and rest in peace, Cortez.
Yes.
You were his mentor in Miami because he acknowledged to me, obviously, we were together, that if it wasn't for you, who knows what would have happened to Cortez.
Well, Cortez came in from Northwest Mississippi Junior College.
With Bobby Bird, right? Bobby Bird and
Bobby Bird.
And there was one more. It was it the receiver 81, Wesley Carroll. Wesley Carroll. Yeah.
That's right.
They all came from
Yeah. Oh man. And Cortez, he was a guy, he had some innate talent. I mean, just some. He didn't lift weights, but he was strong as an ox. You know, he had a roly-poly body type like myself, but he could get off that ball quicker than anybody could. So when he came in, he just was out of shape. Mm-hmm. And so we had a summer or two where really it was at the prodding of Randy Shannon, who would say, "Hey, you get with Russ, and we're gonna go, run them hills in Tropical Park." You know, mm-hmm. And we just did it. Cortez got in shape slowly but surely. The first year he backed up, but then his second year, his senior year, I mean, he killed it. And it only took 1 year for him to be the third pick in the draft. So,
hey, I got a topic I want to throw out to you and Lamar, Russ.
Yes.
Because you mentioned the word a few minutes ago, technique, and how much you focused on technique. And I noticed in the game last week that technique was breaking down in a couple different areas. We were seeing it with some of our guys in the secondary. I thought we were seeing it with some of our guys on the offensive line, and I'm sure there were others. Technique is always a theme on the practice field. Why do so many players have a hard time taking that technique that they learn on the practice field and bringing it to game day on a consistent basis?
Because you know what I think? They don't work at it hard enough. They don't work at it enough. They just think they can get on the field and, just be, sometimes. But it also, you have to marry that technique with what you see on film. Mm-hmm. And if you have great technique, that's one thing. But if you can anticipate what things are going to happen to you before they happen, you become in some kind of a zone. It's kind of like, so if I notice a guard is just really bearing hard down inside and not really trying to block me, and I've seen it on film. Use my good technique to try to push him off, but then I know he's going in too far. That somebody's gonna come in and try to trap me. Hey,
Russ, I always say the great ones visualize their assignments and adjustments.
That's right.
Those. They know what's about to happen because they study, they prepare for it, they visualize them, they dream about it. They when they're thinking the night before the game, they're already seeing how the game is going to play itself out. They're hoping that you do that.
That's right. And Coach Johnson told us a story one time. He would tell a story at Miami. He told it at Dallas a bunch of times. There was a prisoner of war. I don't even know if it's a true story, but it sounded good. There was a prisoner of war who loved golf, and while he was a prisoner, he visualized every night the perfect 18-hole golf game. And then when he got out and finally played that game, it was, he had a great game without having played it all those years. So that's what he always used to tell us. You have to visualize it. Visualize it in your downtime. Visualize it before you go to bed. Visualize success and what's going to happen in the game. So if you marry that visualization, it gives you that confidence, but you also work on your technique. You're gonna be good, but it just doesn't happen like that. You have to work at it, Gary.
But Russ, you guys had a defensive line 8-9 deep. You had players that had been there for a couple of years. The team now, as it's structured, has 4 new defensive linemen that came in from the portal. They have not really played any length of time together, 2 games. And last week, Messidor didn't play. So I've questioned them the first 2 weeks of these shows. That has to impact how you play, the technique not only, but you're not used to who's going to be next to you. You had the same guys for a couple of years. You knew who was going to be there.
Very true. So I knew Cortez was better at getting up field pressure than I was. That sucker was he could take anybody back into the quarterback's lap. My game was more, I could do that too, but I wasn't just going as strong as him to just push
the dancing bear.
I had to use my feet to get around people. Ole, But I was very good sideline to sideline. Right. So if he would get pressure up the field, if he would cross my face and I would replace him. It's kind of like you knew what the guy next to you was going to do. I knew what Greg Mark and Willis McGeese was going to do. And Anthony Hamlet, when I was a senior, the younger guys came in, and Eric Miller. I knew what those guys were going to be able to do. In the Texas game, I knew what kind of player Shane Curry was going to do. I knew he was going to get me a couple of offsides.
Yeah, they was.
But I knew that, I knew the things that he could do. So meshing together and gelling as a unit, that makes a difference. That really makes a difference. And you need time. That only comes with time. And, the best teams, especially in the NFL, because you have a lot of free agency, the teams that gel the quickest together, those are the teams that win the quickest.
That's well put. That is well put. And I got a funny story for you. I remember we played Missouri.
Ooh.
And I just remember they put us in this little old locker room. And I don't know why they did it. They put me between you and Cortez. And I had to wait to get dressed. I said, man, what is this? A sad joke, man? I can't even get dressed, man. These dudes too big, man. And I was very, I was a redshirt freshman, but I was like, I was very respectful to y'all because y'all were older. That they probably don't even do that no more, being respectful to the older guys. And I was very respectful to y'all. I didn't say nothing. I just said I just waited over by somebody else and waited for y'all to get dressed.
And you know what, Lamar? And you know what? I didn't even think nothing about that. We just got dressed. And see, that's something that sticks in your memory. But that kind of stuff is like, man, you know what? If I'd have known you were so respectful, you must not have said much. If you'd have said something, hey, we'd have got out of the way and made room for you as much as you could in that small locker room, man. But
it was so small, man. I said we're gonna kick their butt today because I know these dudes pissed off.
Well, you know what? That's funny because not only were we good players, we were good athletes, we were smart players, but we used emotion in the right times. If the locker room was too small, we said we're gonna kill this team because of that.
I tell people that all the time about what we just used whatever to get us fired up.
Kind of like Stan Thomas, huh, Russ? It is big now.
The
whole team was pissed off that week.
The whole team was really, and then we're talking about the '91. My last game, Cotton Bowl, and we acted a damn fool. Mainly,
but we were so nice. But we were so nice during the week.
Yeah, right. Hey. But you know what happened was Stan. I had just met Stan Thomas when we had the 2-team function. We came together, barbecue or whatever. He came over, shook my hand. Hey, nice to meet you. Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be a great game. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then the next day in the newspaper, Stan Thomas said, he said, Russell, Maryland, I just won the Outland Trophy. He said he might as well just bring that Outland Trophy and just give it to me, because he doesn't deserve it. Just put it on the 50-yard line. He said this in the paper. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with this guy, man? And so being well liked on the team, you had your younger guys like Lamar's like, oh no, they ain't gonna talk about the boy like that.
They ain't gonna talk about Russell, man. They don't talk about Russell like that, man. Russell don't bother nobody. He actually helped me with my homework one time, man. Russell's a nice guy, man.
Very true. So I just thought
I knew about Russell. I knew about that because Caesar called me from Dallas. And he told me what happened. He calls me. He says, "Bet your house, bet your family, clear your bank account. We're gonna beat the crap out of these guys." And
that's right.
Sure enough, man. Sure enough.
That's right. So Stan Thomas, it was really because of him. All those penalties, and it was half him. And half because the Dallas weather that week was so miserable.
Oh my God, it was so cold.
Oh man, it was cold, and we were cranky. We were a cranky giant, just ready to just wake up and just start killing folks.
Hey, how about this? We practiced in Dallas Stadium.
We did, yeah.
And then you got to play there. How about that?
That was crazy. I mean, awesome. I never would have thought that the same stadium with the hole in the roof and the snow. It flurried on the snow flurries on us one practice.
Yep.
Never did realize that I'd be playing there for the next 5 years of my career and win 3 Super Bowls there.
Awesome.
What a great thing, man. Hey, Russ, man. I want let him go because he told me, he said, now I'm gonna come on your show, but I got to get to bed now. I got to get to bed. That's what he
He's
told me.
lying. He's going into that speakeasy behind them over there. He's
No.
open that
I
door,
tell
and it's
I
going
bet
to
it's
be
a bed. I bet it's a
party
bed
heaven.
right behind that. Right out that door, it's a bed. He's just gonna go bloop right in that thing.
Hey, it's an hour earlier out there. Where you going, Russ?
Hey, man, Russ.
You know what? Hey, early to rise, early to bed, man.
It is. Okay. So, hey, man, we appreciate you, man, and thank you so much for coming on the show. And man, again, the respect has always been there for you, and the Hurricane fans love you. I don't know nobody that don't like you, man. You're a good person. Unlike many of us that went to Miami, you're a really good person. So I just want to say thank you, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's a pleasure. Hey, anytime. Give me a holler, all right?
I'll call you
so much, Russell.
All right.
Be well, man. Just be well.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. You too.
Okay. All right.
Well, great Russell, Maryland, everybody.
You know, I went to the Super Bowl with him when the Giants beat Buffalo. He was so great. He was such a nice person, you know, just a great person. Always liked him.
How did he get mean enough to win the Outland Trophy?
Man, I'm telling you, it was incredible. Like, my dad thought that he was he said he's a beast, and I said that's the wrong word to use about this guy. He's the nicest guy ever. Mm-hmm. Like I'm telling you, I was coming back and I was saying, man, I ain't going to class, man. I'm about to go somewhere. He said, hey, Lamar, where you going? He said, come on, I'll walk you to class. Come on, brother. I'm like, dang, man, how you gonna say no? You know, or you he said, hey, do you need a ride to this place? Or just an awesome teammate. And you know, the fact that he was at the University of Miami and people had so many negative things to say about all of us as a group, and there were so many great guys on that team. Now there are some guys, there were some guys, but for the most part, some great guys that played there and were very nice people and end up being very good people. Very good, great players.
Teammates. But he was also, they called him the conscience, didn't they?
Yeah,
I didn't say it, yeah, but he was called the conscience. You know,
the dancing bear, the conscience, because he's gonna be your conscience now.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe you should go to study hall.
Yeah, he didn't have to yell. Like, you know, Jerome would stare at you. You go, ugh.
Yeah.
He was the same way. He didn't have to scream and yell.
Not at all. Not at all. He just and that's why, you know, it's like it was just fun to be around him because you, as a young guy, you saw a guy that really was doing it the right way. You know, so many guys were doing other things, but he was one of those guys. You know, he was doing it the right. He showed up to practice. He practiced so hard. And that's what I mean on the scout team. I was a scout team quarterback running options sometimes, and I'd break one for a long run, and I hear him, do it again, run it again. And he's like, he just look at me and smile. And then he helped me up after he just knocked my socks off. You okay, Lamar? Yes, Mr. Ram. I actually called him Mr. Maryland a lot because it was just a respect for him. So it was great having him on.
Let's get back to Texas A&M for a few minutes, and then we're going to be joined by Chris T. Jones. So I think we're kind of in agreement that it was okay to adjust against Southern Miss and pound the rock and get out of there and move on to this game. But they figure to need a lot more offense and a lot more variety to the offense this week. Correct, Lamar?
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely variety. I mean, you're not going to be able to just, I think, run it down their throats because, you know, they're going back to the drawing board too, and they're going to fix that or try to fix it, address it, as coaches put it, address that running game that they were. You know, I just think those guys were tired, man. They looked tired. They looked beat. A lot of guys were catching cramps. It was a hot night. And App State, you know, they just had a great game plan. Now, Miami needs to have something similar to that game plan. You know, take the air out of the ball. It's like in basketball, you pass it all the way around till you get last second and, you know, you try to score then. But they got to do something similar to just get those big guys, get them tired. Obviously, their conditioning was a big problem. Their conditioning was a big problem now. So
I wonder if the strength coach has been fired yet. I mean, that shows a deficiency in your off-season training program or a lack of depth, one or the other.
Yeah, well, you're right. And so with that being said, you know, hopefully we can take our conditioning because we should be in great shape here in South Florida with this heat and go up there and win the game in the fourth quarter. That would be great. to win the game. Because again, it's like what Mario said in the press conference. Didn't mean to cut you off, Bruce. You can't be mad about a win.
No.
You gotta. A win is a win. You just correct your mistakes. Don't be mad about a win.
Well, and the halftime adjustments over the past couple of years have been far between. And so here's a guy who makes an adjustment, and instead of playing the same way for 4 quarters, he said, "This is not working," and they fixed it. So you gotta love that. Now this week, if I'm going to be Texas A&M for a minute as the voice of the fan or whatever, I think they're expecting Miami to come out and try to shove the ball down their throat because that's what App State did. I think they're going to gear up to shut down our running game. So I'm saying, and I said this last night to Brett, maybe we ought to start with some screens, get TVD in a rhythm, throwing maybe crossing routes, maybe you get Mallory over the middle or Arroyo or somebody. And then maybe the pass will open up the running game because they're playing with 4 and then 2 linebackers. We have more numbers than they do. If we go 2 tight ends, they're really in trouble. But I think we've got to spread it out a little bit and then maybe try to run the ball. I think if we go run, and punt, I think they're going to be so jacked to stop our running game and then confuse TVD, just like they did Southern Miss just in the first half.
Well, you said about spreading the ball around. You see what App State, they spread the ball around. I mean, every guy was getting the ball, and plus that running game with 2 running backs. I mean, it was a great game to watch. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat. It was a good, really, really good game to watch. Obviously somebody has to lose the game, but for them to lose at home in front of all those people, then I started thinking, dang, boy, they're gonna be mad next week. They're gonna try to give it everything because at that point you don't want to lose 2 games in a row, especially at home.
Yeah. So and then there's the aspect of over pursuing. We may be able to catch them with some things that they think that, like I said, we may run a play for the first 2 weeks. They'll see the same formation. We know what's coming, and it's not what's coming. That's what I hope Gaddis is doing. I'd like to think that that's what he's doing. What do you think, Lamar?
Well, you want to give people, they're going to watch film, so you want them to work on things. It's just like this. I'm sure Coach Steele last week had to work on that super back the whole practice because that's all they showed. Right, the super back, and then they don't even run it.
Not at all.
I mean, you waste your time preparing for something, and that's what a coach on the other side says. Okay, we're going to see. We did this for 2 weeks. Now we come out with something different. Right. So what happens is, what you're hoping, like Steele, you kind of make them call plays. Just keep calling plays. As long as you don't give up the big play and the big touchdown, you're okay. They just have to keep calling plays until you figure it out. Until you figure out their style, what their packages, because that's what it is. They're called packages. You run, you got one play out and you run it out of different people, different personnel, but it's really the same play. Or you do it the opposite way, run a bunch of plays out of one formation, and you just run that package till they stop it.
All right, I want to go to my next question, Lamar, which is there is a trend. You talked about how angry Texas A&M is going to be. Mm-hmm. And there is a trend in college football, really all sports, that when a team gets embarrassed the way they did and loses the way they did, that they come back the next week and they are bringing a whole nother level of effort. They are a way better team. And the trends very strongly favor that home team, especially playing at night, bouncing back from a difficult loss like this. What is going on inside the program at Texas A&M? What is Jimbo Fisher doing this week? How are they trying to create that type of mindset, mentality coming into the game Saturday night against Miami?
I think the most important thing for Jimbo and that staff to relate to those guys that it's not the end of the world. Okay, we lost a game. Let's get back together. We got to stay positive. You can't be negative. You can't worry about the outside world. You can't listen to the outside noise, as we say. And you have to stay positive about things and make sure you talk about all the positives you did after you make the corrections. Because you don't want to beat the kids down. They got a big game coming up. They've circled this game because I'm sure App State, they say, oh, okay, yeah. Kind of like what we said against Southern Miss. Okay. But really, they had that Miami game circled. Okay. So with that being said, this is a game that all those kids have been thinking about. So you got to keep them in that right frame of mind to say, hey, you know what? We wanted to win this game, and we are going to win this game. We just have to make some minor few twerks and adjustments and be ready for this Miami team.
But how does Miami deal with that? And that the place is going to be lit up.
Right.
They're going to come with as much intensity as they can muster from their bodies. Let's be honest. Texas A&M is going to be stoked coming out for the game Saturday night. Well, how does Miami deal with it, Lamar?
When you have, hopefully you have veteran leadership, guys that have been there before. You have some guys that will be common forces. Obviously, they have a great staff with a lot of great voices. But it's ultimately on those kids and the preparation. All those guys around with the coaches being able to say, hey, this is what it's going to be like. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be loud. But it ain't nothing like, this. We're going to compete. We've competed more on Green Tree. We should be able to go in that place and block out all the outside noises and compete against this team and beat them. That's what you try to relate to those kids. Say, hey, you don't talk about all what's going on. You address it, and then you play the loudspeakers. But at the most point, you don't try to make a big deal about it. You just watch those kids try to communicate. You watch them try to figure out how they're going to feel comfortable, learning the plays, seeing the signals, and still making plays without being distracted. Okay, and then when you get in the stadium, obviously, that's where you need guys around that have been there. And we have some guys that played in big games before. So, you hopefully those guys, you're able to lean on those kids.
You should see the speakers that Mario came up with this year, man. You could be blocks away from Green Tree practice field, and you can hear all the noise that they're pumping into the practices. It's pretty awesome.
Well, you better hope the HOA and Coral Gables don't get them for that. Boy, that thing's rough over there.
I don't think he cares. They got to jump. I think they need to jump out early and take the crowd out of the game. If you'll know in 10 minutes if they're going to win this game or not. If they're not physical, if they're behind, they're putting the ball on the floor, that's trouble. We've got to keep that crowd. And we actually have to maybe turn the crowd against them because Jimbo's under a lot of pressure. People are complaining about his offense. And if he starts out bad against Miami with all that noise in the stadium, they're going to turn on him and the team. But we've got to come out fast. We can't fall behind.
Correct.
All right, we're going to go to Chris T. Jones in a moment. But Lamar, first, why don't you take a minute here and tell us about Caneswear, your host location, where you're sitting in their store this evening, as you do every Wednesday night. Tell us a little bit about Caneswear.
Hurricanes football is back. Are you geared up yet? Have you been to Caneswear in Davie recently? They have the latest gear for the Miami Hurricanes and the Miami Dolphins too. Caneswear is more than a store, it's an experience. They have the largest selection of Miami Hurricanes items in town. Items from Adidas, Dime Life, Flowgrown, and other brands, including Team Sideline apparel and hundreds of different t-shirts, jerseys, polos, hoodies, and hats in all. Sizes for men, women, kids, babies, and even pets. Caneswear is your tailgating headquarters. Tents, chairs, tables, flags, decals, magnets, license plates, sunglasses, and tattoos. They definitely will get you ready for the game days. So if you want Hurricane gear or any South Florida Pro Team merchandise, they've got you covered all season long. So go over to Caneswear, located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie. And of course, they're always open at Caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot where Miami fans shop. Bam.
The best. They're the best.
All right, before we bring them on, Lamar, what do you got to say about Chris T. Jones before he can defend himself?
Well, this guy, man, he's one of my favorite Canes of all time, because he's like a little brother to me. So, and we spent a lot of time together, man, a lot of time. We almost were basically inseparable. I mean, You know, I let him sneak into games a couple of times and get a couple passes. You know, I move over to another position because that was my boy. You know, I didn't do that a lot, but he was my guy. And you know, he had a Maxima, red Maxima. Ooh, that thing had a big old speaker in the back. I would drive that thing. That thing was nice. I had a Ford Escort with bald tires and no AC, and he loved driving that thing. He'd always say, "Hey, you want to switch cars?" I'm like, "Yeah, I sure do." And he loved. I don't know what his problem was. I sure drove that Maxima around South Florida. I was whipping that thing, but just a great friend of mine. That's why I wanted him to come on the show, man. And he's just a great person, and he was a great player. I watched his highlight film today. Ooh, that boy made some catches as a rookie, boy. Him and was it Urban Fryer? I think they set an NFL record for catches in a year as a tandem. So that's
here he is. The band is back together.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? What's up, Gary, Bruce, and all Lover L?
What's up, baby?
How y'all doing?
They didn't know
you talking about the mics. He talking about the Maxima days. That brought back memories. I love that Ford Escort. He had those dark tints. I couldn't be seen in the dark tints, baby.
Hey, Chris,
where are you? What is that background? We just had Russell, who had the secret speakeasy behind the secret door behind them. Where are you?
Oh, I'm in my dining room. My wife got me set up here, so I'm sitting here before I go to bed. I just been enjoying y'all show all evening. Y'all been having a great show. I really appreciate it.
I need to use her interior decorating expertise, man. That looks pretty. I like that those trees she's got behind you there.
Oh yeah. She does her thing.
Where are you at, Chris T? Where are you at now?
Oh, I'm in the West Royal Palm Beach area, right now, Wellington area.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Beautiful.
And he's big. He's big into his school. Palm Beach Cardinal Newman. He's on the board. I mean, he's on the board there. He's doing it big time over there in West Palm. But I got a question for you, Chris. Can you tell the people the story? I don't think people don't really know the story of you almost didn't come to the University of Miami. You were going to Michigan, right? Am I right?
No, I was going to Pitt. University
of
Pitt.
Pitt. That's right. Yeah, Pitt. That's right. You were going to Pitt.
I was going to Pitt. What happened was it was something about I remember getting a call. It was right before camp. I guess a week right before I was supposed to leave to go to Pitt. And I get that call. They were saying that I was going they didn't take a few classes that I had from the core, my core classes. Mm-hmm. And the thing, I just panicked. I'm like, oh man, what's going on? I said, I'm not going to no prep school. They wanted me to go to a prep school because I thought everything was taken care of. Next thing you know, my mom wasn't there. I remember calling my mom. I say, Mom, I'm finna call University of Miami. She said, Coach, she's like, what's going on? I say, I'll talk to you when you get home. By the time she got home, I already got on the phone with Coach Ogeron. Coach O, because Coach O was the one recruiting me. So Coach O was like, just come on, have your mama get you down here right away. Come on down here. So next thing you know, I was in Miami. People don't know I was there. He took me to the admissions office with all my grades and all of that. We ended up staying there for almost 5 to 6 hours. And I ended up staying there because you guys were starting fall camp the next morning. Mm-hmm. So I ended up staying in 36 without no clothes or nothing, just the clothes on my back. My mom had to drive back from West Palm the next day and bring my clothes.
Well, we talked on the phone though, Chris. You remember we talked on the phone?
Oh, yeah.
Coach Ogeron put him on the phone, and I can't remember the conversation, but I just know
said I wasn't going to play.
Okay. I thought that's what I said. Hey, look here, buddy. You come on down. You're not going to play.
You said I was going to play.
Okay. But you
got All-Americans here.
It was kind of like the same speech that Michael Irvin kind of gave me. You know, hey, buddy, you come on down here. You're going to learn from us. You're going to learn the system. You ain't going to play much as a freshman. Or you might not even play at all. But you learn, you get acclimated to this thing, and in time, you will be the man. Absolutely. And that's what, let me tell you, Chris, first of all, was a hell of a basketball player, one of the greatest intramural basketball players in the history of the University of Miami. People will attest to it. He won the with me, of course. He won the intramural championships with me, and I think he won it with Sap.
Yeah,
Team.
man, Sap won it the next year.
He just ran. He ran through the intramurals. People still come up to me this day and say, "Man, I played against you and Chris T. That Chris T was incredible. One of the greatest basketball players they ever played."
Yeah, that was my first love. That was my first
love.
But
he got to the University of Miami, and he soaked it up. He came in very humble, and all he wanted to do was learn. And that's why we hit it off. You know, he just said, "Hey man, I want to learn, man." So, you know, Hasi, great guy, but Hasi wasn't teaching nothing. He was like, shit.
No,
he was by his, he was like, man, you better go watch LT. And then K Dub was in his own world too. So I was the guy that said, "Hey man, listen, bro, I got you. Let's learn." You know, he wanted to work.
You absolutely did.
And Chris,
you took all of us under your wing.
Tell him what it was like to work. I mean, like to seriously work, and because, you know, you guys put a lot of pressure on us because you guys were working. So tell him what it was like, Chris, in those meetings.
Yeah, man, that's a good question. That's one thing I love about at University of Miami, that you knew you had to come in and work. It wasn't nothing given to you, because you got to remember in that time, everybody was coming in being All-Americans. And then our playbook was hard to learn too when we first came on that field. And that's one thing I can take credit for Lamar. He was so good in the classroom. When I say classroom, in the wide receiver room, because he really took us under his wing. I mean, all of us, because, you know, a lot of the older guys didn't take time with younger players to develop and take that special time with us, you know, and knowing that he was becoming a star at that time as a redshirt freshman, I think. And right after that Notre Dame game when he showed out. And that's when he just went to another level. And that's one thing, getting back to the film room, he taught us how to, you know, really study film, how to study coverages, how to practice, because you got to remember, during those times when you was in high school, you didn't know about no run after the catch after you catching balls on air and all of that, and finishing like you're going to score a touchdown and all of that. And then he had good work habits. That one thing a lot of people underestimate Lamar. He wasn't big in the weight room, but he can run all day. I mean, run all day, man. That's one thing, he never got tired. And that's why me and a lot of other players can contest to this, like the AC Tullisons, the people that was under him, that we used to hate that he don't get tired, because that stopped us from getting in the ball game. Because Lamar knew every position. He ain't never have to come out, because he can leave. He started at Z. He knew what everything was going on at X, and he knew what was going on at tailback. So, and when he here to play, and he know he was getting the ball, he can go to the other people to get it. That's why I love playing against. I knew early on in my career at University of Miami, I wasn't going to play at Z. I wanted to go to X, because I already knew that Horace Copeland, he going to come out the game. Horace never stayed in the game. Horace was like, hey, Horace just like to get his deep ball or run his post pad, and that's it. Then I can go get all the other balls. Because I can recall, like, Gino used to be shocked that I used to be in the auto sometimes. I used to be sneaking in that auto, boy. I just used to say, just throw that shit up. I'm going to get it. So I used to go get it for him, though. So those are good old days. But I really, that's one thing that I love. I love my big bro, love it hell. That I just gravitated to him, man. I was stuck to him like glue. I mean, literally, wherever he went, that's where I went. That on the field and off the field, and that's a credit to him. That I learned a good work ethic, seeing him as a true leader when he was at the University of Miami.
You know the beauty of this, Chris, is that we do this every week. We did it all last year, and you guys keep coming on the show. And everybody hears that Miami is like a brotherhood. You're damn straight it's a brotherhood. Whether it's you guys or guys from 10 years ago or 35 years ago, you're all in there together as teammates. You love each other. I don't care, that's the beauty of Miami and doing these shows. And hopefully it comes back, because I miss that. I miss that. I don't know what's going on. It's like every man for himself.
You know what I love is what's going on right now. Okay, you've got after the game last week, Tyler Van Dyke and the receivers, several of them went back to the facility at night on a Saturday night.
Wow.
And spent the night watching film, getting ready for Texas A&M, and talking about what had happened against Southern Miss because they were not happy with their performance. I know a prominent player on this team that gave up a $1,000 NIL deal 2 nights ago because there was an impromptu position group meeting that had been called on a group text amongst all the players. Mm-hmm. And he felt like he needed to be there, which I think he made the right decision, as opposed to going off and making his $1,000 on an NIL deal that night. These are good signs to me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, Cole. That's one thing I love about Mario. Mario had that intensity when he was on the field with us. And I can look back, that's one thing that I love about him, that he was even the ones in the locker room. He was encouraging back then to the younger players that when I look back. And I can see that now. And I'm just excited. Like, I couldn't even sleep. Like, for home games, I can't sleep the night before like I'm going on the field, but I'm just going to watch the damn game. It's so good that you got that feeling. I haven't had this feeling in a long time, and it's great to see someone that's there that cares. Him and Alonzo Highsmith, man, it was like you didn't see that all the years I was coming to the University of Miami before we got these guys that's in play right now, Mario and Alonzo. That credit goes to Alonzo that he took time out during the game to come up to the box with the players, the former players that sit and watch the game with us and talk to us. You let us know that what they doing and bringing that feel back to make you feel like you really are part of the University of Miami again. And it's undeniable, and it's great what they doing right now.
Alonzo's not that type that he's above you guys. He's one of you guys, mm-hmm. and you're all in there together. Even though he's got a position and a title, it doesn't matter. That's what it's about, being a Hurricane. Mm-hmm. And he represents it, and so does Mario. And Mario comes in with built-in respect. These other coaches really didn't have any because they have nothing in their history that shows they're winners. He's a winner. He was a winner at Miami. He was a winner at Alabama. He was a winner at Oregon. So why would you think anything other than he's going to be a winner here at Miami? And he's bringing back you guys. We just had Russell Merrill on it. That mentality that we have to work our asses off to go and play games on the weekends. If we don't do it during the week, Chris, we're not going to win. You guys worked your behinds off.
Absolutely.
Except Lamar in the weight room.
Absolutely. We have this little group text, like the former receiver, like today, like me, AC Tellison, Util Green, Jermaine Chambers, and Lamar. We was just talking about a little bit about the receivers that we learned that one of the receivers went down. And then, I was quick to think like how it was back in the day. It's next man up. This is an opportunity for you to make a name for yourself and then a household name for yourself, because the world going to be watching. We're on prime time. That's the one thing that we took pride in, by me seeing like Lamar. I used to see how he used to prepare for a game. A lot of people don't know. I used to see all of that. I was the one, his roommate.
Oh my God!
And everything, seeing how he prepared. And that's one thing. We played the video games, but he people don't understand. He was so locked in that he wanted to go out there and show the world he was the best receiver in the nation. And I seen how he prepared that way, and he showed it. He showed it week in and week out that he was a household name, and that's what made us really wanna. And that's what made me want to have that to try to put my name out there to work hard and do all them other things. But he had a little secret recipe a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know. I gotta tell it. A lot of people don't know. That's one thing. He didn't want to take a shower. He couldn't take a shower before the game. He couldn't take a shower before the game.
No wonder he got so wide open.
I ain't brushing my teeth.
That's the only way I can play.
I want to be musty out there. I want to be stank, dirty. I ain't giving them no respect. They don't deserve me taking no shower. They don't put no deodorant on. I ain't brushing my teeth. I ain't nothing. I wake up. Let's go. I'm going to the stadium. I'm ready. Don't
God
talk to me.
honest truth. God honest
Don't
truth.
talk to me because I'll blow your face off with this breath.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey, I just
He
want
was
to be
locked
funky
in. He
when I
was-
showed it to
Hey,
Spencer.
Bruce and Gary, he was too locked in. But yeah, man.
That's called too locked in. You're right, Chris. That's called
Yeah.
too locked in.
But it's I'm
So
happy.
we
to
know
see
how he
what
got
this-
all the recognition.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I'm
he
happy
got the
with
recognition. He
this
was
receiver
doing this
group,
all the time with his helmet.
Yeah, I'm excited about this
I kept a fresh
receiver
haircut
group.
now. Wait, Chris, I kept a fresh haircut now.
Yeah, you did. You did. That's
I
one
might
thing
not
we
brush
did.
my teeth.
So we was on prime time every week. We had to keep a haircut. Yeah. But I'm excited about these receivers though, cause I know they're young, but they showcasing that somebody gonna rise to the occasion. I really feel they are. I really do. Cause I can recall when Horace, Lamar, and Kevin Williams, when all of them had left the ruthless posse, we was unknown. We were very unknown. The next receivers that was up, the AC Tellers, the Jameis Germans, the Yatil Greens, and all of that. We wasn't no name. We just had to step up and fill. Those was huge shoes to fill, because you got to remember they coming off a Heisman Trophy. Geno just winning the Heisman. He put up stupid numbers. Lamar, they put up crazy numbers as a tandem, the ruthless posse. And then we was unknown, but we found a way. We ended up losing that national champion. My junior year wasn't as strong as a receiver group, but my senior year we was, because we was up for the national championship, and y'all know we lost against Nebraska.
Well, let's tie what you said, Chris, into this game this weekend, okay? They're going on the road, Texas A&M, huge game, big stage, under the lights, national TV. None of these kids that are playing receiver right now for Miami have ever accomplished anything in an environment even close to what they are going to face on Saturday night. How did they deal with that?
That was true. That was like what Lamar was saying earlier. With they got to be locked in. And when he was talking about the crowd noise, all of that, the waving and all of that stuff, that's true. That's true. That I hope that they have, like he said, I hope everyone in Coral Gables can hear that speaker blur. That they're gonna be some adversity times that they're gonna have to work through those with the cadences, the silent, all of that stuff, because they have to be locked in. That's the one thing that their assignments right now, they got to be really locked in, or whatever the coaching staff is throwing at them right now. I know this game, to me, it wouldn't have been no school. I hate to say it, it wouldn't have been no school this week. It wouldn't have been no school. Would have been preparing, would have been on that field, would have been getting our workout in, would have been channel watching film, all of that. I know back in the day, coaches telling us ain't no school this week.
Hey, man.
It's time.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that, Gary, when you talked about the kids meeting on Saturday night. Hell, we just spent that time during the week when we were supposed to be in class. We had meetings. And there were no coaches involved. We just had meetings, and we called it big game week.
Yep.
When you're on TV, Florida State, the Notre Dames, hey man, that class can wait. You tell your teacher, hey, look here.
And then we have
see this schedule, I ain't gonna be there.
That's true. And then I love about it, we have the perfect opportunity to show the world if the Hurricanes is tipping to the right direction. You know what I mean? That's the beauty about it. That's the excitement I'm having. That we prime time. We have in a hostile environment. If that don't make these young men at UM right now make they rocks get off, they at the wrong school.
I'm glad you said it like that, because I knew out of your mouth something else was coming. But okay, I
can be PG now.
Yeah. I understand. Assistant head coach talk. You have to do it PG sometimes.
Yeah, yes,
so.
sir.
Yes, but hey, Chris, man, you caught 70 balls that 1 year. I want to talk about when you played with the Eagles. Talk about a hostile environment.
Yeah,
you caught 70 balls in the second year.
Yeah, my second year. I caught 5 balls the first year. That when John Gruden was on me, boy. He said, Chris, you got to learn this West Coast offense, man. So that's one thing that during that summer, and then I made a pledge, because I was a scout team All-American my rookie year. I was everybody from the Michael Irvins, everything, but I was going against the first team defense. But they thought I was like one of those crazy receivers because I was out there talking trash every day. I probably was catching about 200 yards a day in practice, being the scout team player. And I used to tell them, I used to tell the receivers ahead of me, like the Fred Barnett's and the Calvin Williams. I said, y'all two in trouble once I learn this offense. They're going to be cutting y'all. And, and it was true. That second year, they both was gone.
That when they brought mentality.
When they brought in Urban Fryer and me, that's to this day we still got that the tandem record for the history of the Eagles. It still has that record as a tandem.
What was it like playing? What was it like playing up there in Philly? Was it crazy? That's a crazy environment.
Man, it's nothing like it.
Santa Claus, didn't it?
Yeah, they're sick.
They're against the Cowboys in the 700 level. Oh yeah, I still remember that. And I'm gonna tell you, that's something about the Eagle fans. It's no fan like them. You have to really be in that town to experience that blue collar, the way they are, man. I can recall that that they so into it, man. That it's hard to describe. It's like I never seen a fan like that. How they love they sports in the way that it is in Philadelphia, man. I can recall sometimes, man, the cold games. It's like they think it's 80 degrees outside. That's how happy they are. And then it shows too. You remember how nasty and sorry that Vet Stadium was?
Oh man! It was
my God, Vet. They go. I can remember John Gruden. John would be like, because he know he coming in at work probably about 4:30 in the morning. He used to always, when we get in film room around 8 o'clock, out to walk through. He like, goddamn Jonesy, and you don't see that big ass rat over there? That's what I'm fucking talking about. We want rats in this place. We want to show them we don't want the luxury. We want big rats to let them know we're going to kick their ass. We're going to have our rats bite their ass. That John Gruden was something special, man. I hate how that went down with Coach Gruden too, man. Because in my heart, that man don't have a prejudice bone in his body. I really can say that. That man, he helped a lot of us players, man. And I hope that he get a second chance one day. I'm sorry for going on.
But no, you're good, Chris. So where we gonna watch the game this weekend, man? Where we 9 o'clock.
We got to decide, man. Right. I heard y'all group chat, y'all was saying Ryan Collins' house.
Well, we're gonna put it on RC. We're gonna bring it to RC house then. But 9 o'clock, man, that's late in the day. So we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good time.
That is late.
Well, Chris, man,
Hey, wait, Chris, before he goes, Lamar. So we were talking about some of the traditions up at Texas A&M. Now tell me if you believe this. Lamar is ridiculing their tradition. The cadets, they bring dates to the game, and then they have a moment, I think it's at the beginning of the fourth quarter or something, where they all sit there and make out with their dates. Okay? This is a true story.
They couldn't do that to you. Could you imagine that did that at UM during our time?
Yeah, I jumped up there. I just jumped up in the stands.
His uniform and gone up in the stands.
Yeah, I think Lamar's going to get a uniform.
I wonder what happened at Miami. Man, we had probably about 5 or 6 girlfriends, man.
Yeah, and I got to show you, they got another tradition up there. I can't explain this one, but take a look at this one.
What is this? They're yelling at each other?
They all they grab their junk. I mean, I don't understand.
Oh man,
that's because probably nobody else will.
That should be on Sportsman. That should be a flag starting the game. I see that. Man.
Hey man, those are leaders of our country, man. So let them do what they want to do.
This is gonna be a crazy road trip. I'll tell you guys.
Oh, it's gonna be the best, man. This road trip gonna put UM back on the map, man. Throughout the nation.
We hope so.
They have a chance.
They ain't hoping we're gonna do it. Man, Mario gonna have the boys feel like they can run through a brick wall, man.
Chris, they really don't have a quarterback. We have a major advantage. I don't know what Jimbo's going to do, but
he's a runner. He's
going to run. I bet he simplifies that offense. The kid's going to be throwing short all day.
That's why D-line and our linebackers, they should want to eat. They should want to eat.
Yep.
If you got that running quarterback, they should be teeing off, man.
I don't know if he's a runner, this kid. He just doesn't seem to be comfortable in the pocket. He
So
sat out
keep him
all last
comfortable.
year. He hurt.
He's been struggling.
He's been struggling.
Well, I just hope he don't find his rhythm against us. We just need to keep that pressure on him.
Right. If we could stop their run, that pressure's going to be on that kid.
Absolutely.
But as long as they're running 4 or 5 yards at his shot, it's going to be simpler for him. So we've got
Make him pay. Make him pay. Make him pay.
Mm-hmm.
Make him pay. Well, Chris, man, we appreciate you coming on, and let's figure this thing out for this weekend. All right.
Oh, we definitely will. I just want to thank Gary, you, Bruce, and you, especially you, Lamar. I love you, man. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy you're getting the opportunity to really showcase your talents as a coach, man. That, one chapter closed and you got another chapter opening, that I know that you're going to run with this one, because you and Terrell Buck going to do some great things up there in Orlando. And I'm going to always be your biggest fan to the day you die, bro. I love you, man.
Appreciate that. All right,
We're
bro.
We're gonna have to do a King Sport Live from Orlando.
Oh, you know it. I'm going to be at every home game. Every home game, I'm going to be there. I already told him. I'm going to be there.
All right, bro. Love you,
All right,
man.
Yeah, good night, fellas.
All right, thank you.
Great seeing you again, man.
All right.
Great stories, LT.
Yeah, he ain't telling them all. I
course
sent him a
not.
text, say, "Hey, man, don't tell everything. Now, don't tell everything. I got my wife watching, and she would know. Hey, slow down.
Funny dude,
No, we had a lot of fun though. He was my roommate. I forgot all about that. He was my roommate as a young freshman. I wanted him as my roommate, and it's kind of showing him the ropes. I talked to him all night. We played a game, but I would sit there and I would run down. I would be reading our bios all night long till I fell asleep. I wanted to know the person I was playing against, and I wanted to have an advantage. I wanted to feel like I had an advantage by knowing their families and anything about them that that was pertinent to the game. I mean, I knew guys' mothers' names. I knew if they had an arrest. I knew all kind. I brought it up in the game too. Against Houston, there was a guy, the defensive back. Jerry Parks. He had shot one of his teammates with a cassette tape. So I was in his behind the whole game, and he was so mad. I said, Gino, let's run that stop and go now. And I hit him on the 72-yard stop and go because he wanted to hit me so bad, because I kept bringing up, hey, you gonna shoot me? Can I get a tape? Can I buy a tape from you? Can I get a cassette tape? And I just kept bringing it up, and he was so pissed that I knew when I ran that stop and go, he wanted to get me. And boom, I gave it to him, and boom, it was to the bar. So, you just got to know your opponent. And I tried to show Chris everything as far as just being prepared for the game, and so he could pass it on to the younger guys like Yatil and Jamie when he was the senior.
All right, let's get back to Texas A&M here for a few minutes. All the talk out there in College Station right now, guys, is Jimbo Fisher. Okay, Jimbo Fisher, who came up as this great offensive coordinator at LSU, gets the head coaching job at FSU, wins the national title at FSU, and then everything started to go bad in Tallahassee. And he bolts in the middle of the night to go to College Station, is making massive amounts of money, has farms out there in Texas. Jimbo Fisher is living the life, okay? Except for one problem. Football season comes. I think he lost, 4 games last year?
Right, 4 games, and none of them were to Alabama.
He upset Alabama.
Yes.
So that kind of bought him a little bit of goodwill with one of the most rabid fan bases in the country. I mean, they'll put over 100,000 people in the stadium on Saturday. Now he starts out this year. They look like garbage against Sam Houston, and they lose to Appalachian State. Lamar, I'm going to put you on the spot here on your own show. Do these guys like Jimbo Fisher lose their edge? I heard him say this week that there might come a day where he turns over the offense to somebody else. This guy's making $8-9 million a year, $10 million a year out there at Texas A&M because he is a offensive guru. does the game change? Do these guys lose their edge? Like what happens to these legendary coaches' sustainability? Like, Nick Saban is a rare bird. Even like the Urban Meyers of the world flame in and out. Like what is going on in your mind with Jimbo Fisher?
I mean, you've been doing it a long time, and it's kind of like what Kevin Steele said about, it's the same concepts. I mean, Jimbo ain't changing for nothing. He might add a couple of wrinkles here and there, but we know this. We've been going back and forth for years. I mean, it just gets to a point where, he's had a great run, and I'm not saying it's over for him, but at some point, I'm sure it's like, how much money have I made again? I got how many farms? My son is, I don't know how old now. He should be in high school by now, I think. There's so many other things that probably, and just seeing people die around you. People getting older. Every day on my phone, somebody dies, a star or a movie star or a sports person or something. So it probably in his mind at some point, it's like, hey, man, I've done enough. I want to have one more good year, and I'm going to ride off into the sunset. But, as far as play calling, he's probably like, hey, man, I've done this so long that maybe I should turn it over to somebody else. And that would be at the end. I think it's, hey, man, I've done this so long, and some guys kind of just want to be in charge the whole time. Some guys have a problem giving up that, being in charge. They want to call the plays. They want to be in charge the whole time, and they micromanage everybody. But, at some point in that side, you got to understand something. That on that side, it's like the side of death. It ain't the Kentucky side with Florida and Tennessee and South Carolina. It's the LSU. It's the Alabama. It's that Auburn. Side. Yeah. The Auburn. It's that side. It's like you went into this saying, I sure want to win a championship.
They sure spent enough money to get a championship.
Yeah, but they definitely have the cash. He's made a lot of money.
I'll give you a 2-word answer. Jameis Winston. He has not had a quarterback at Texas A&M anything close to Jameis Winston, who pulled rabbits out of his behind many, many times, and we saw it down here. He doesn't have that. He certainly doesn't have it this year. Miami didn't have one up until recently. Now we got Van Dyke. That's a problem for him. You don't have a guy that could execute what you want to execute because he's not a good thrower. His footwork is horrible. The backup is no better. Their backup last year transferred to Auburn. He's stuck. He doesn't have the ace in the hole that he's had before. He's got athletes, but he doesn't have a quarterback.
He has 4- and 5-star players like Hurricane Doggone said. They got a lot of players. They got supposedly the best, but we all know if they're not being coached right, and the X and O's, the game is passing you by in some type of way, and everybody that your offense is on PlayStation, or everybody knows your offense.
Right.
He's a great play caller, but he's becoming outdated in a way. So, and he's on that side. Remember, he's on that side where 1 year in that side is about 3 years on coaching life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you got to compete with Alabama every year. And plus, this year, it's a little added something because him and Mr. Saban were going back and forth. So, I'm sure that game is going to be one to watch.
Well, I think that's going to be a bloodbath for Alabama. Yes. They're going to really take it out on them. They lost 2 games in a row last year before they played Bama and beat them. They lost 2. And then they lost 2 more after they beat Alabama. They lost 4 SEC games. So how great can they really be? They have talent. They get a lot of publicity.
They got a lot of guys on their roster, a lot of 4- and 5-star players.
Do.
I mean,
they got a lot.
They don't. And I'm pretty sure those guys getting paid very well. Yeah, very well.
I saw a figure come out that Texas A&M football NIL is $3 to $4 million. Miami's at least double that.
Mm.
John Ruiz budgeted $10 million a year for NIL. Now he spent some of it on the Cavender twins and some other sports and stuff, and he might have exceeded his budget by now. But Miami as great as Texas A&M NIL is, Miami's exceeding it. How about that?
Well, they've been having NILs for a long time.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other story. Yeah, they've been
got a side budget
before the NILs.
Yeah, they got a side budget out there that I'm sure is very, very nice out there.
Yeah.
A couple of triple wide trailers and everything else out there.
All right, so I'm looking at the comments on YouTube, and a couple of the guys I thought made legitimate points, raised a legitimate question. Miami has not done very well in these games since 2017. The Gator game, I think in 2019, I think it was close. But blown out by Bama, blown out by LSU. How do they reverse course?
Blown out by North Carolina.
That was different. That wasn't really a national game. Like this is a national game.
Well, we won the Notre Dame game, but it was here.
Yeah, that's 2017.
Right. Well, I tell you this. I think you have the right staff. I never really got into watching press conferences. I thought coaches, half the time I don't know. Manny's press conference, no. But this guy Mario, man, and not throwing Manny under the bus, but I'm saying this guy Mario, man, he speaks it. He's all about, being transparent with these kids. He wants them to understand and being positive but transparent, letting them know that it's about hard work and these guys are going to go in there. I think this staff is going to give them a good chance on being successful with their teaching because they got a lot of experience on that staff, whether it's, Coach Strong, Steele, Mario, the O-line coach. It's just a lot of experience on that staff. And I think it's going to help this team. Obviously those guys aren't on the field. So that's why the game is going to be won, this week on that practice field, if they're going to win it. Right. And it's going to be from them, again, just speaking positive, working on all the things they need to work on, technique, and keeping that technique even through the fourth quarter, because that's where you hopefully can win this ball game. And we've already seen where Texas A&M, poor condition. So, hey, I'm sure they're preaching we're in better condition than them. So we just have to stay the course and don't get rattled if you get punched in the mouth. Don't get rattled. Just pull your pants back up and just punch them back, Well,
last year, Mario took Oregon to Columbus, and they beat Ohio State on the road. It was like the second or third game of the year. So he's been there, and he's done it. So he knows how to prepare for that. That was a big game for Oregon to win last year.
How do you say that again? Oregon?
Oregon. Hey, don't make fun of the Newark accent.
Listen how he pronounces Mario. Mario. I'm bad with names, so I can't make fun of Bruce.
It's
Oregon. Okay, I got you, man. I got you. I was just sitting there laughing because he kept saying Oregon. I'm like, what?
Oregon.
That's me, Oregon. Okay, Oregon. My bad. Didn't mean to mess up your train of thought, Bruce.
So what's Jimbo, who's going to give up his play calling duties eventually here? What's he do about a quarterback Saturday night? Does he stick with this kid? He brings Max Johnson over from LSU. I think Max Johnson's played 16, 17 games at LSU, transfers to Texas A&M, thinking it's a better opportunity. This is a kid that didn't come to Miami when his uncle was the head coach. Okay, right. So I don't know, maybe he knew Mark Richt was going to be leaving and wasn't going to be there for his whole career or whatever. But this is a kid that's not afraid to move around and do something different. So he went to LSU. Now he's at Texas A&M. Max Johnson, I'm talking about. Does Jimbo stick with this? What's his name? Haynes King kid, or does he go to Max Johnson this week and just try something different to get things going?
I see Jimbo, I see Jimbo trying to stick it out with this guy.
I agree.
And, it's just his mentality. I really believe he's the kind of a coach that said, hey, F you fans, I'm going to do it my way. And I see him trying to stick it out. But I hope he does. I hope he does stick it out. I hope the guy, plays just like he played last week, it'll be great for us.
He'll get the hook.
Yeah, he'll get the hook.
He's on a short leash. He's on
a short leash. I see Jimbo saying, you know what, I'm gonna stay with this guy until we can't stay with him no more.
Right, because if you take the kid out and he doesn't start, you lost him.
He's gone. He's transferring too. Right. He's gone. And I don't even know how many years he got left, but he gone tomorrow.
All right, man. Well, it's going to be a huge night on Saturday night. And,
a late night.
Yeah, it will be a late night. Bruce, you'll be back with us for the post-game show. We'll be doing that late at night. I'll be coming to you guys live from College Station, and Bruce and Dave Lamont will be holding down the fort, and we'll break this whole thing down on Saturday night after it's over. And it'll be interesting.
Lamar, LT, after the game the other day, Gary was driving home from the stadium.
I'm going to do that again. I like that.
And he had the camera on the side, almost where
it like this.
And he's driving and he's looking in the rear. Don't call the police. Oh, I thought about it. It was good. It was good.
Hey, Bruce.
Yeah.
He's very fortunate to have a car to drive after leaving that stadium after what happened at the Dolphins game. So for all the dumb fans out there, don't leave your damn things up under your car, man. Don't leave your fire up under your car, your grills up under your car.
I'm a season ticket holder for the Dolphins, and they send me these questionnaires all the time. I've been telling them for years. I don't know if they really pay any attention to these questionnaires they send out. I've been telling them for years, the way you guys are managing that parking lot, there are going to be fires and there are going to be tragedies. There are going to be cars blowing up out there. It's always so disorganized out there for starters. They make all the cars coming in drive down the lanes where people are already barbecuing, and it's tight as heck, and you're sitting there and there's fire coming out of the grills, and you have cars filled with gasoline driving down the lanes. This is a true story. I have been telling them for years that was going to happen. And there's no control over what's going on with all the grills out there.
Honey said that fire was uncomfortably close to my car on Sunday. Wow. I couldn't imagine coming out there. If it's in Miami, I'm thinking if I come out there, it's probably stolen, if anything. You know what I mean? But to come out and see your car on fire, or not, I'm sorry, smoldering, because by the time you get out there, you're like,
it's burnt.
That's not my car.
That's my grill. That's my grill, but that's not my car.
Hey, how about one guy said, man, I just lost a $200,000 car and I had $3,000 in it. I go, add to the fire, buddy.
Yeah, that's an insurance claim he's going to try to collect on.
Hey, but he put it on the news, so it might work.
All right, Bruce, we're going to let you go. Lamar's going to do some word association. We'll see you Saturday night after the game.
No predictions here. I just hope we stay in the game.
There you go.
That's it. I'm done. I'm not going to talk about it until after the game. LT,
all right, Bruce.
Speak to you soon, buddy.
Okay, buddy.
Gary, I'll talk to you real soon. Talk to you later, guys. Be well.
All right.
All right, Bruce. All right, before we do word association, let's hear one more time from Caneswear.
Welcome to Caneswear. Family owned and operated since 2010. Caneswear has all latest merchandise for the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Inter Miami Soccer, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of I-595, or online at Caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
All right, LT, word association. All right, we got some good ones this week.
All right.
Let's start with the beloved Jimbo Fisher. I threw it out there a minute ago.
Right.
We talked about it, but I'm baffled seriously about what I'm seeing from Jimbo Fisher. The self-doubt. I've never seen self-doubt expressed quite publicly like that by someone of his stature. He has been reputed to be one of the better play callers in college football for several years now, and clearly is questioning himself over the way things are going at Texas A&M. Jimbo Fisher.
I mean, anybody who calls their plays like this, I mean, he getting old, man. He need to let it go. No, I'm just saying. Jimbo's been a great coach for a long time. And, at some point, he's going to have to relinquish the leash a little bit, and hopefully he's taught somebody or given school somebody enough that he can concentrate on being a head coach, because that's a lot of stress, to be a play caller and a head coach. So, but he's been good for a long time, and he got that upset last year of Alabama. That was a great victory for the program. Obviously, this year to come into it, with that downer against App State, they're going to be really focused on trying to win this game against the University of Miami, because that would be 2 losses at home on national TV.
You worked for a head coach that calls his own plays, Bobby Petrino.
Bobby Petrino.
Was he stressed out from it?
Hell yeah. He'll let you hear it too. I mean, he was from yelling at everybody. I mean, he was one of the greatest play callers I've ever been around. But man, he's very because he had his own ways of doing things, and he didn't want you in his way. He was focused on the game. I've been around some guys that couldn't call plays on Madden game, but that guy could, and they're very focused on what they have to do in the game plan. And one of the things I took from those guys is that I guarantee you, if a play doesn't work in practice, they don't call it in the game. They will not call it. Petrino said, how are we going to call a play in the game that we didn't have success with in practice? Whether if a kid dropped it 2 times, he's taking it out. There's no confidence. It might be a great play, but there's no confidence.
So you're not a believer that in today's football that the head coach should be functioning as his own coordinator?
Nah. I that's a lot. That's a lot to be on those guys' plate. Delegate. You're the head coach. Make sure you can manage the clock, make those decisions that need to be made, but delegate it to the guys that you're paying a lot of money to trust in. You can sit in that meeting room all day and you can give them all the plays you want to call and tell them what situations, but you need to be thinking about other things, because there's so much other stuff going on in the game, personnel, clock management, officials, just a lot of injuries. There's so many things going on. You need to be focused on that. But some guys do it, and they more props to them. But I'm sure it wears them down, because after that game's over, they're pretty much beat mentally.
All right. Next up. I love this one. We've been making fun of their traditions. All right. The cadets grabbing their nuts. I have no idea what that's all about. Okay. Might have to do some research on that. They also get to then subsequently kiss their girlfriends in the stands. I don't know what's going on with the cadets. Okay. But they have a tradition out of Texas A&M that they call Midnight Yell. And on Friday night, they'll do it again this week, I think, if they haven't been spooked, where they get 40,000 or so people come to the stadium, sit in the stands, and practice the cheers for the game. And they call it Midnight Yell, Lamar. And part of this deal is that a designated student, gets to stand up in front of this crowd of 40,000 people and do a comedy routine where he lampoons the opposition. Well, they did it Friday night for the Appalachian State game, and obviously it kind of blew up a little bit on them. But I want you to watch this clip from last Friday night's Midnight Yell, and then I want to hear your comment on, and the word association will be Midnight Yell.
A lot of y'all, I had to Google this team to make sure that they were even real. I was really confused because Appalachia is definitely not a state. But sure enough, I found them, and they're located deep, and I mean deep in the backwoods. Just like you would think any hillbilly college that names themselves the Mountaineers. I just hope that these guys can get here tomorrow all right, because I know for a fact that half of their football team can barely even read the name on their jerseys, let alone read a map. It's a shame that the only 2 brain cells that all these guys have left are going to get knocked out by our wrecking crew defense tomorrow.
mean, have you ever in your life? and the lady over behind him, she's doing sign language for repeating everything that he's saying in sign language. So Lamar, the university was, this went viral. I mean, people were trashing them like crazy for this thing, and it went viral. The university started filing copyright infringement complaints. I'm sure they'll do it to Cane Sport as well, on everybody that was showing the video of their midnight yell because of what an embarrassment it was to their university. So anyway, I'll come full circle back to my word association, Lamar. Midnight yell.
I'm at a loss for words what I just watched. Hey man, I mean that was wow, it didn't turn out the way my buddy said that. I mean, I hope he gets a movie deal or something out of that because I mean, I'm pretty sure those mountain people those in the backwoods are going to be sending him mail forever. This guy's going to be famous. Even the people behind him, even the sign lady, she's going to be famous off this. I mean, that was funny. I mean, it didn't work out the way they wanted to, but and they do that every week, every 40,000 people. They have no life to come to that. They have no life.
What do you think happens Friday night when they do it for Miami?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, that obviously you have no life. Could you imagine them saying, "Hey, come to Hard Rock Stadium for Friday night comedy / whatever"? I mean, unless it's Kevin Hart or somebody, they ain't showing up to that, man. Hell, we can barely get them to show up to the damn game. So I mean, it's just wow. I don't even know what to say. That was very interesting.
I've never seen you this speechless.
I don't know what to say, man. That was crazy. Wow.
All right. Well, then let's move on to the Miami receivers.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. Maybe I'll find something to say about those guys. I mean, they got to make plays on Saturday, man. You got to make some plays, and hopefully, again, Gaddis has been saving this thing up for those guys, and they got to understand this is their opportunity on national TV. Your opportunity to make plays in front of everybody. You get your chance. This is what it's about. These are games as a youngin like myself, Christy Jones, we talked about, we dreamed about, we visualized, we in meetings, we were in film, we talked about games like this where we circled and said, I got to have a good game. I got to have a great game that game. I got to be put on the map that game. And, but everybody on the team is saying the same thing. And if they're all on the same page, everybody's going to do their job and they're going to do it to the best of their abilities. And they're going to work their techniques. As Mario says, we're teaching technique. Let's keep it throughout the fourth quarter. So receivers, it's your time. It's your time to shine. I want to see some big plays out there. You make some big plays out there, it's going to open up the tight end play. It's going to open up the running game even more, and Restrepo. I mean, everything. I say Restrepo because he's inside, but those guys on the outside, those are guys I'm looking to make big plays in this game.
Tyler Van Dyke.
Here you go. You got to start off. Can't be confused in the beginning. They're going to show you some things. Be safe with your throws in the beginning. If you're not sure, I mean, he threw the ball into the ground a couple of times because he wasn't sure, but got to start off better this game against a better team. And, I'm sure he knows this. You got to start off better. You got to know your checkdowns. You got to know, don't have negative plays. You don't want the crowd to get into the game. And when you get your opportunity, those windows open, make the throw. And, if he does that, it quiets down the fans. It gives you manageable downs as a play caller. And, we're on the right way to victory if he does those things.
Mario Cristobal.
I mean, when I was there as a player, he'd be saying, "Hey, brother, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna break a bitch's leg." I mean, that's how he talked. I'm sure he doesn't do that now, but he's gonna be very intense, and he's well versed now. And he'll have those guys right. And that coaching staff that he put together that everybody is raving about. They've spent a lot of money on those guys. You'll see it come to fruition this Saturday. And hopefully, and I'm hoping that we win this game. I'm really hoping we win. It'll be great for us to win this game. Or at least, I don't want to say, hey, I'll be okay with us keeping it close. I want us to win this game.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I can't say that.
I don't want any participation trophies because we just watched them lose against App State. So I don't want people from App State saying we could beat Miami. So I don't want that.
All right, LT, another great show in the books. We thank Russell Maryland for joining us. We thank Chris T. Jones for joining us. We thank Caneswear for hosting you, for sponsoring the show. You can visit their store on University Drive in Davie. We thank Playa Bowls for feeding Lamar. And we also thank the law office of Christine Rosendahl, because if any Canes fans out there get in trouble, they have this number to call, 561-512-6199, and Christine Rosendahl will help you get out of whatever jam you're in.
Yes.
So, LP, huge game, man. I'm looking forward to it. Heading up there on Friday. We'll be back next week to break it down and talk about it. Program notes, Saturday night after the game, we'll have the CaneSport post-game show into the wee hours of the morning. I'll be connecting into that from College Station, and we'll have the post-game scoop from the locker room and things like that. And we'll see what we're talking about, man. It's going to be interesting.
Hope we're happy. I hope we're happy. All
right, so for LT, I'm Gary Furman. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Go Canes.